season-opening Sooner basketball. And that means the regular season debut of Trae Young. Here comes T.Y. Oh, Trae Young is a show in and of himself.
He's must-see TV. I think mental fatigue is set in. He's allowed missing some shots to really affect his performance.
The guy was a sensation last year. Some said would be slipping. He said it was up to him to change that narrative.
The longer that shot doesn't fall, you wonder about the pressure he starts to feel. But Trae Young's just got to do what he does.
What he did was become the first player ever to lead the nation in scoring and assists in his season at Oklahoma. Trae Young going to be joining us here at the table in the first quarter. The number 2 seed Blazers taking on the Atlanta Hawks. Young getting a breather tonight, not playing, not in uniform, obviously, for Atlanta. They're dapping up Brian Shaw, assistant coach with the Los Angeles Lakers. Mark Jones courtside along with Doris Burke. Cassidy Hubbard joining us in just a bit. It's been an incredible ride for Trae Young when you think about 8 months ago, his collegiate debut. Also, going back to Salt Lake City, Utah, his initial summer league play elicited a lot of overreaction. His shooting struggles seemed to be monumental at the time. 3 for 16 a couple of nights in a row.
Right.
But in the last 3 games, he scored in 3 of the last 4, actually, Doris. He's had 20 or more points, and he's gotten into a much better flow.
He shook the weight of that poor performance off his shoulders, started to relax and settle in a little bit, and saved his best for what was perhaps his last summer league game. Here is his game by game here in Las Vegas. So outside of the Portland game on the 8th, he's really done a good job, Mark. To me, it feels like he got that double-digit assist game, and he settled in, and he was absolutely dynamite last game when they were down 27 points, and he affected every single one of the last 7 baskets. He assisted on 5 straight. That one in a full court situation puts it on a string. How about the quick catch and deliver underneath? This one's the playmaking. This is the one that excites their coaching staff and front office. Absorb the double team, and in all that sea of bodies, he's able to make the play. And then, yes, sir, he can do a thing or two with the ball in his hands. Nice and simple. Back-to-back buckets. Last 5 minutes of this game, look what he does, Mark.
Yeah, he was phenomenal in the second half. Had 16 points in the second half of that contest and brought the Hawks back from the brink of defeat against the Indiana Pacers last night right here in Thomas and Mack. Let's talk about the Portland Trailblazers right now. They have a collection of guys when you go down the list. Baldwin, Layman, a bunch of guys, Zach Collins, who have been in the real fire with the Portland Trailblazers during the regular season. But we're going to focus in on Gary Trent Jr., maybe arguably the best three-point shooter in the ACC last year.
Right, well, that was his specialty. Played with a wealth of ability in a pick-and-roll situation. Nice, efficient dribble. Now you walk into a catch-and-shoot 3. Okay, now I'm in a one-on-one situation. Can I beat my guy, put it up soft? The answer is yes, but this is what the Summer League has been about for the 3-0 Portland Trailblazers. Balance. Jake Layman has been absolutely dynamite, as has Wade Baldwin.
Anthony Simons, an interesting story. A guy that did not play collegiate basketball, was down at IMG Academy down in Florida. I'll tell you more about him as the night progresses. There's a look at Wade Baldwin, who will be running the point for the Portland Trailblazers, former first-round pick of the Memphis Grizzlies. As we take a look at the starting lineups for the respective teams, Portland undefeated at 3-0. Taking on the Atlanta Hawks, who have played one more game. They are 2-2. Baldwin, Jenkins, another Vanderbilt guy, Layman, Collins, and Swanigan. Morris, Johnson, Cleveland, Amari Spellman, and Landale for the Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young not playing tonight, but keep in mind, if you want to hear from him, he'll be joining us right here at the table in just a few. Game 2 of our doubleheader tonight here on ESPN2. Mark Jones, Doris Burke, and Cassidy Hubbard calling it for you. Collins wearing that mask. Controls the tip, and we get a clock malfunction. Clock never got started. There's a look at Collins sporting that black mask. He broke his nose on the first day of Summer League camp. And still getting used to that mask. You know, they won't let you wear a black mask during the regular season. Remember LeBron tried to wear one with Miami a few years ago, and
LeBron looks scary.
Like it isn't enough, right? With 6'9" or 6'8" and 255 coming at you. The masked man with the partial block and the rebound for Portland. Swanigan going to face up. Jake Layman has been playing really well, shooting the basketball in particular. Swanigan out of Purdue, and that's going to be an offensive foul. He hooked his opponent and gets whistled for the infraction. Caleb Swanigan out of Indianapolis, Indiana, the 26th pick in the draft by Portland, his second year in the league. Started all 3 games in Vegas, dishing out 5 assists with 8 rebounds in each. Spellman with a catch and shoot.
Now they love that about him. Remember, 43% three-point shooter at Villanova in that nice spaced out offense with Jay Wright.
Big East freshman of the year last season, started 39 of those 40 games they played. Layman looking at making it look real easy. Layman going into his 3rd year for Portland. Pivotal point of his career. Spellman got to the bucket. Swanigan with the rebound and brings it up himself. Jenkins off the curl. Tough pass, never made it. Cleveland got it in the paint, lost the handle. Swanigan had Jenkins temporarily and ends up turning it over. There's Johnson with the elbow jumper. And nice tip by Spellman underneath.
You can see he's 6'9", 253, but boy, he moves so well, Mark. They love the championship pedigree and his passion.
You said 6'9". That surprised me. Yeah, he is. Incredibly mobile. Collins facing up. Zach Collins, the 10th pick in the draft last year. Out of Gonzaga. John Jenkins playing good defense here on Cleveland. Whistling a violation against the Hawks. An offensive foul. Take a look at Jake Layman there, number 10 for the Portland Trailblazers. He knew that coming into Summer League, he had to shoot the ball better than he has been. It's time for him to show out a little bit. And he's responded here with 56% shooting from the field. A guy that is really bouncy. Very much an athlete, and now trying to become a complete player. On cue, Layman shooting it well.
He's just keeping his eye on the ball handler and just trying to space down a little bit to the corner, stay in the vision of the passer. But you're right, I think he's a terrific athlete. I like the way he plays. And he said it, you know, he's like, listen, this is about me shooting the ball more consistently, period.
Nice little show and go. Collins wasn't ready for the pass. Swanigan on the block. That one halfway down and out, but a nice looking move by Caleb Swanigan. Johnson on the probe. And Swanigan with the rebound. Now here's Wade Baldwin. Layman in rhythm.
3 for 3.
Down his second one.
That's about as consistent as you can be, Mr. Layman. Just making things nice and simple for himself. His first bucket was like a one-dribble pull-up, easy.
Trying to get some minutes in Terry Stotts' rotation. Layman's got to beat out Harkless and Evan Turner, who play the wing as well. 1
mid-range, 2 threes. This one in a half-court set. The next one in semi-transition. Up the floor he comes. Boom.
There's Morris, 5 on the shot clock. They got to go to work quickly. And a blown layup underneath by Landale. Collins on the baseline. Nice looking move. And he drills it.
I like his game too now. He's got size, shooting ability, good feel for it.
Spellman Nice look inside. Spellman got it back. And Layman with a rebound for Portland. Wade Baldwin up court. Been doing a nice job running the show and shooting much better on cue. Wade Baldwin, the 17th pick a couple of years ago from Memphis for the Memphis Grizzlies. And an 11-0 run for Portland. And they lead by 8. Baldwin has been really good defensively as well. He has a little over a 7-foot wingspan at 6'4". Wow. Jenkins had to go halfway down and out. Spellman wrestling for the ball with Collins. Time on the floor when we come back. Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks taking a night off, but we're going to put him to work here with a headset on. Welcome back, everyone, to the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League from Las Vegas. The Atlanta Hawks taking on the Portland Trailblazers, trailing by 8 right now, and they could use a little scoring punch right now, but the scoring punch is sitting between Doris Burke and I. Trae, thanks a lot for joining us, and tell us about your Summer League so far, from the time that we saw you play your first Summer League game in Utah and struggling a little bit with your shot to where you are right now.
I mean, it was definitely a process. This has all been a process for me. Coming in, my first game, being the first time I played 5-on-5 since my college basketball game.
Wow.
Throughout the whole draft process, it was all one-on-nose and just doing different drills. So just getting back into the flow of things and getting back on 5-on-5 was just the start of my process. So it's all been a upward battle and upward hill for me. So I'm just enjoying it.
8 months ago today, you played your first college basketball game remarkably, and feels to me as an outsider you've had so many ups and some downs.
Yeah.
How have you tried to navigate all that? And now, especially as you move to the NBA, you'll have to continue to navigate it.
Well, it's, like I said before, it's all been a process. It's something that I've had to learn. I'm 19 years old, and just trying to learn as much as I can from the people and the resources that I have. With all the things that I've been through going in college, from coming out of nowhere and just doing what I did, and then
bursting onto the scene is what you did.
Yeah, and then everybody, and then it started changing a little bit, and then just things that I've had to learn. And like I said, I'm just getting started, and I'm excited about everything that's going on, and I'm super excited.
Are you enjoying it? And I wonder, as you said, you're 19 years old, and you're stepping into a league, Trae, where there is performance pressure and there are expectations. Can you give us some sense of how, like, that's not easy for a 19-year-old?
Oh, it's definitely not easy. But I've trained my whole life. I worked so hard throughout this whole process and growing up just to get prepared for this moment. And as of right now, I feel like I'm ready, but I know there's a lot of things I got to continue to get better at, and just continue to work. I mean, continue to do what's gotten me here, so I'm excited.
Okay, Trae, your dad played basketball at a high level, and part of your lineage has dictated that you've always been around quality people, quality coaches and trainers. What kind of feedback has your dad given you in the increments that you started in your first Summer League game that's helped you get to where you are now, where your last game was arguably your best one?
Yeah, well, just to continue to do what's guided me to this point. Playing the right way, playing with a sense of urgency, playing hard, controlling things that I can control. I mean, I can't always control if my shot's going down or anything like that, but I can always control my effort, my communication, making sure my teammates are always involved, things like that. Just controlling what I can control, and that's one of the main things that I've taken away from what my dad's given me, because my shot wasn't falling early on, and I'm still, to be honest, I feel like I haven't shot the ball very well, even in Vegas, but I know that's going to come, so just continue to control the things I can control.
I'll tell you what you did do. You played one heck of a down the stretch, down 27. You had the final, you affected the final 7 baskets, so can you take us through a little bit of what that was like last night?
16 in the second half.
Yeah, you were dynamite.
Well, it was just basically just trying to make the right play. Wanted to make the right play. And I just make the right play down the stretch and do that.
Trae, we're going to ask you to stick around. We're going to take a short commercial break. That's how we pay our bills and TV, man. We'll be right back. Here's how it went down last night with Trae Young in the final moments against the Pacers. Trae, take us through what you were doing here and how it worked out well for you.
Well, just always keeping my eyes up. I mean, seeing the defenders and where they were going, leaving my teammates open, which wasn't the right plan in these type of moments, because I had really good teammates who were knocking down shots this night. So it was exciting, and seeing my teammates happy was making it that much better.
That's awesome. Hey, have you spoken with your new head coach, Lloyd Pierce, and asked him about your learning curve and what kind of role he wants you to fill with the Atlanta Hawks?
Yeah, I've spoken with him a lot. Actually, every day out here, even on game days, I've asked to get in the gym with him. We've gotten shots up early each and every morning, even on game days, just working constantly in the gym with him, picking his brain, trying to figure out how he wants his offense to be ran. And I mean, he's new in Atlanta just like I am, so we're both going to experience something.
He was a teammate of Steve Nash in college at Santa Clara.
Yeah, no, we definitely had a lot of talks about that. Steve Nash is my favorite player growing up, so getting advice from that was awesome.
All right, so I read this thing that Lloyd Pierce said, and all I could think about was Tony Parker and something Pop put him through when he first went to San Antonio, which was, he worked you out, Lloyd? In the pre-draft, he said, I wanted to hit him, be physical with him. I wanted him to feel me. So can you tell us what that was like?
It was definitely different. Getting into a one-on-one battle with Coach in my workout was something fun. He pushed me, picking up 94 feet everything, trying to run off screens, being physical with me, different things like that, and just being in the drills with me was something cool, because I mean, Coach Kruger, I know he wants to do it, but in college, Coach Kruger wanted to talk it through. Coach Kruger had the competitiveness. He wanted to do it.
Well, what was it? I haven't heard of many head coaches that were throwing guys out like that.
Yeah, no.
Did it feel odd in any way for you?
Oh, it definitely felt odd. It definitely felt odd. Because Coach Pierce is awesome in that way. He definitely connects with his players, and the way we connect already is something special.
Yeah. Tell me about the Atlanta Hawks and how you see yourself in the big picture. That's a franchise that has great history, has some winning history, but in the last several years has struggled. How do you approach getting that whole thing going? And you want to be part of a winning program.
Yeah, I definitely do. I approach it a lot like I did going into Oklahoma, where the program in Oklahoma used to be, I mean, with Blake Griffin going there, Buddy Hield just coming off of a Final Four year, but the year before I got there, didn't make the NCAA tournament, and just me coming in and wanting to change the outlook of Oklahoma basketball. That's the same mindset of coming in an organization like the Hawks and just trying to get back to winning, because I know that's all the Atlanta Hawks fans want and this organization wants.
You could point to any number of things that Steve Nash did well. One of the rare guys to go 50, 40, 90, which is really as good as it gets in terms of consistency shooting from all three levels. What was your favorite aspect of what he did?
Just how he was so cerebral, so cerebral. The way he knew how to control the game, control the pace of the game, get his teammates involved, but also know how to score from all three levels. Different things like that. I'm a big fan of his. Out of all the people, to be honest, that I've gotten to talk to and that have introduced themselves to me this past year, I mean, he was one of the many people that I was super excited about meeting and talking to, and now that I can text him and ask him for advice is something crazy. So, but those are the main things, basically just how cerebral he is.
Two-time MVP and does some work with some NBA players, so you might want to sustain that.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you heard from any of your Atlanta Hawks teammates, Dennis Schroeder, or any of the guys that have played on the Hawks team during the regular season?
Yes, sir. I've heard from, I mean, basically almost everybody. I've been a lot of contact with, I mean, Kent Bazemore. I mean, Torian Prince has been out here a lot. I mean, DeAndre Embry, they've all been out here, so just being in contact with them. And obviously we got JC, John Collins, and Tyler on the team. So
yeah, Collins is playing exceptionally well. So you ready to be a rookie and carry the little Dora the Explorer backpack on your back?
No, I don't know about carrying that Dora the Explorer backpack around.
That's part of the deal sometimes.
Yeah, I know I'm going to have to do a few things. I'm not looking forward to that. Hopefully no popcorn in the car.
Right. You got to be careful. Got to listen to those vets.
Got to. Luckily, we're a very young team, so it's...
Yeah. Hey, are you done for Summer League? Do you think you'll be playing?
Well, right now, I don't know. don't know the process of what coaching them wanted me to do. Honestly, I really wanted to play today, but I mean, coach thought it would be best in my interest not to play today and just to rest from this long few games that we've been playing. So.
You're killing me. I was so excited to watch you in person.
Trust me, I feel like I've made it since I'm here talking to y'all.
You see all these notes I had on you, right?
I know. I wish I could have played. I'm real upset.
You want to know what I have on my board about you?
What is that?
So this is just some evaluations from some of your guys. Like Lloyd said, I evaluate Trey on his ability to create separation, whether he's using it in the pick and roll, orchestrating our offense, is he getting separation? So like all good stuff down here, I promise you.
Oh, okay. That's nice. I like that. Thank you.
That was an incredible year at Oklahoma. I mean, the only person in NCAA history to lead the country in scoring and assists in just 1 year. How much pride do you take in your ability to do something nobody else did?
I mean, I take a lot of pride in it. I mean, I hope hopefully one day, I mean, a kid is looking up to me right now wanting to change the game and wanting to do something special in college basketball. Like I did, and that's all I wanted to do, just be different. That's one thing about me is I always pride myself in being different. And so leading the league in points and assists in the country was something different. So I'm very proud of that.
We really appreciate you joining us. We're really
us,
excited to see you next season.
Thank you so much. I feel like I've made it. I feel like I'm talking to y'all. So
that's great. That kind of humility will go a long way. Hey, your team's down 10. You think you can talk coach into a little second half run for us?
I'm going to talk to Coach Dent right now, drop a few plays, get some offense going.
Thanks again. The Atlanta Hawks making it a 9-point game, and we always love going to Atlanta, Doris Burke, for regular season and playoff games. I have a feeling with Trey in the fold, we'll be pulling up to Atlanta a little bit more.
Little Gus's Fried Chicken in our future, and a little Trey Young basketball in our future.
Back after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League. Started the second quarter with the Portland Trail Blazers leading the Atlanta Hawks. Mark Jones alongside Doris Burke, general manager of the Portland Trail Blazers. Neil Olshey joining us now. Neil, a good summer for you guys. To start things off, Jusuf Nurkic re-signed to a deal. How important is that to you guys moving forward?
It was big. I mean, look, he's a core part of our roster. You know, we were lucky enough to acquire him in trade, you know, at the end of last season. And, you know, our record with him, you know, we play like a 550, 600 team with him on the floor. So, you know, it was critical we got him back, you know, to have a 23-year-old starting caliber center on what we think is going to end up being a cap-favorable deal was a good step forward for us in terms of continuity and player retention.
Your first month on the job was pretty good. Before a month had elapsed, you had drafted Damian Lillard and gotten Terry Stotts as your head coach.
Yeah, I was 2 for 2 on that.
That was really good.
Well, you know, what the guys that don't get credit in all this, right? The general manager sits courtside at Summer League, is the scouts, you know, and the assistant GMs and the guys that live on the road all year. You know, they don't get enough credit. They're not in the spotlight. But our staff did a phenomenal job preparing for that draft. It wasn't just Dame. You know, we took Myers Leonard, but we found Will Barton in the second round at 42, who's turned into a big-time player as well. And, you know, those are the guys, Steve Rosenberry, Bill Branch, Joe Cronin, they're out there grinding every day, you know, seeing guys and, you know, really kind of pounding the table in the draft room.
Hey, one of the guys I was just going to ask you about on the other end of that alley-oop, Jake Layman, going into his third year, a real bouncy type of athlete and shooting the ball pretty well here in Summer League. Does he fit into the rotation, you think, down the road a little bit? You guys got some pretty talented wings there.
We do. You know, I hope so. I mean, I think, you know, historically for us, the third year has been a big jump, you know, under Terry. You know, guys really, you know, they learn the system their freshman year or their first year. You know, they start to grow second year, and then they have full confidence, you know, by the third year. We had that with Alan Crabb. We saw with Pat Connaughton last season. Will Barton blossomed, you know, elsewhere, which, you know, wasn't great for us. But, you know, we really felt like it was too early to kind of, you know, push our chips in on Jake. You know, we had an option. We picked it up kind of on the come on June 30th, not knowing what we would get in free agency. And, you know, he's lived up to it. He's been, you know, he's from your neck of the woods back in Boston.
Yes,
and, you know, the big step for him, he's an elite athlete. He can really guard. He's got to make shots, you know, and what we've seen, it's a small sample size so far, you know, 3.5 games, but he's knocking down threes, he's making the shots he's supposed to make. And that's going to be the big area of growth for him.
I got him at 8 of 13 on his three-point shots coming into this one here tonight. That's not bad.
He's taking great shots, nice, efficient off-the-move, dribble move, a couple of threes. I'm curious about when you drafted Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum, because they're two undersized guards from schools that are not, you know, the prototypical Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina.
Right.
When you drafted them, despite the size challenge, what were the character things you saw in those men to give you faith that, yes, from a skill perspective and beyond, they could succeed?
Well, you know, one of the things that I think people overlook at times with guys coming from small schools is you have two guys that they had to take ownership of outcome from the time they walked onto campus. You know, they don't have the luxury of playing with 3 or 4 other McDonald's All-Americans where they have a tough night, you know, and their team can still, you know, end up winning a game, or, you know, the reporters are looking at other people in the locker room. So when you look at Dame and CJ, the success they had at Lehigh and at Weber was, you know, it was incumbent upon them, you know, to take a leadership role from day one. They were both under-recruited. They carry that chip on their shoulder. They still have a swagger. And I mean, you look at Dame, I mean, he's 4th in the league in MVP voting. He's a first-team All-NBA player, and he still acts like he's, you know, he's the downtrodden. So, and I think that's what makes both of them great. And it's one of the reasons we had the confidence to draft a young guy like Anthony Simons, knowing that every day they would be in the gym working and he would be in the gym emulating two of the most high-character, successful guys, you know, of that ilk in our league.
Dame told me the story, Neil, about when he was in between his junior and senior years. He went back and watched every pick and roll play that he ran that year at Weber State and took notes and used it the next season. I mean, that's the type of guy that you got. Let's talk about a guy that had a great block a moment ago, Gary Trent Jr. His father was a member of the Portland Trail Blazers back in the day. And so far, the guy that was the leading three-point shooter in the ACC is looking pretty good for you guys.
He is. You know, we were really excited. You know, we had them 1 and 2 on our board. You know, Anthony was a little bit higher, but, you know, we put a lot of resources in. We're very lucky to have Paul Allen. You know, he allowed us to use 2 future seconds and cash to jump back into the draft and get Gary. And we think his game translates immediately. You know, obviously, like his dad, well-built young guy, you know, physically doesn't back down. And, you know, Doris Yu is a great scorer at Providence. So he's not shy now. I mean, he got in the game. He dribbled into an ill-advised 3, and so he's going to get him up. And I think, you know, Terry has a system of empowerment. You know, as long as guys, it's a shot you've proven you can make, you're allowed to take them. And we think Gary's going to really, you know, grow into that role that's been kind of vacated the last couple of years by guys like Alan Crabb and Pat Connaughton.
And the second round, Neil, seems to be, over the last several years, evolving into something more than just, it's not a throw anymore. Guys are getting good, guaranteed deals in the second round, too. And teams like yourself buying into the second round, right?
We are, and I think, look, and I think, you know, right now we are going to have to address it at some point, because, you know, when you do your job well in the second round and you find really good players, they come up for free agency really quickly.
Yes, they do.
And that's why you see teams giving out longer guarantees than we used to.
That's a great
because
point.
You're just trying to protect the asset as much as possible if you believe in the guy to begin with.
Right. But your scouting department has got to be great. All right, here's a guy that I love, and I'm curious what the organization's mandate to him in the offseason was. That's Zach Collins.
Yeah. Well, you know, look, I think you see, Doris, you know, physically he's gotten much stronger.
No doubt.
Look, defensively he has elite instincts. You know, he can block shots. He moves his feet. He reminded me of a young Rasheed Wallace.
Wow.
You know, his ability to step out, switch pick and rolls. He could block shots. Really, really tough. Just, I mean, he's probably one of the toughest guys on our roster. And, you know, he just needed to get physically stronger so that he could finish plays around the basket. I mean, you see it a little bit now. Center of gravity still needs some work. You know, he gets pushed around a little bit. He's a little bit off balance. But, you know, Terry last year used him more as a pick and pop guy because he played in tandem with Ed Davis. We're hoping now, you know, Ed has moved on. We're hoping now that'll get Zach closer to the basket where we can highlight his offensive rebounding, his touch around the basket, and his post game.
You guys made a nice leap defensively last year into the top 10 defensively. How do you continue that trend with some of the personnel that you guys acquired during the offseason?
Well, a lot of that, you know, the credit for that goes to, you know, to Terry's staff and to Dame. You know, I mean, Dame really made a concerted effort to be better at the point of attack and, you know, control the ball, keep it in front of him. You know, we ask a lot of him offensively, and at times it's unfair to ask that much more on the other side of the ball. But I think Dame realized for us to take a jump, and we went from 26th to 8th. Now, some of that was Dame at the point of attack, and a lot of it was Nurk. You know, we had played like a top 10 defense after we acquired him a year ago. This year, top 8, and we led the league in rim protection. So a lot of that was Yusuf Nurkic. It was Zach Collins' length. It was Ed Davis's energy that will have to be replaced. And, you know, the guy who really is unsung, that fights some of the bigger guys in our league, is Al-Farouq Aminu.
He's tremendous.
Right. He's a guy that I yell at the writers all the time. He doesn't get enough love as an all-defensive team member, and this is a guy that guards everybody from Karl Anthony Towns to Draymond Green to Kevin Durant.
Yeah, so Neil, thanks a lot for joining us.
More questions for him. But we're going to let you go.
All right, thanks so much.
We'll
wear you out.
Go Friars.
Yeah.
Back after this. Well, the Summer League tournament continues tomorrow in Las Vegas on NBA TV, as well as the NBA, the ESPN app. We'll have a full slate of games for you at 4:30 and 6:30, 8:30 and 10:30. Mark Jones, Doris Burke, and Cassidy Hubbard, joined moments ago by general manager of the Portland Trailblazers, Nino Oche.
I wanted to ask him one, in the age of dominance of the Golden State Warriors, just didn't have time. In the age of dominance, how do you try to shape the roster, and how do you think about long term? And then the other part is, in that kind of market, right? How do you try to sustain success?
Right. Great question. Interesting concept when you think about you can't build a team like Golden State's because nobody is going to out Golden State.
No one will out. Listen, I saw Rob Pelinka's comments.
Yeah. Yep.
And I 100% agree. But one thing I said on SportsCenter, Mark, is I would caution you that Golden State has no plans to stay static. And you and I talked to Steve Kerr. There's a lot of conversation down the stretch of the season that Golden State wanted to play differently somehow next year.
Yeah, they're evolving.
And we asked Steve, if you're going to tweak it, is there a way to sort of stay true to how you want to play the game and incorporate the vast skills of DeMarcus Cousins whenever they become available to you? And that's a fascinating supposition to me. Because if you think about Golden State, aside from a couple of players like Sean Livingston, when they play through the post, Sean, they'll let post up. Everybody else are looking to get those cross cuts. They're looking for action off the post, not to score. You've got a devastating low post game has moved with DeMarcus Cousins whenever he gets healthy. How do they incorporate all that skill?
One thing about Steve Kerr and that staff, Mike Brown is associate head coach, they are continually evolving. They will not be the same the next time we see them. Trying to stay one step ahead. People scoffed when the management and ownership said they were light years ahead. Well, you got to ask who's laughing now. Winning 3 of the last 4 championships and signing another All-Star, they can potentially start 5 when DeMarcus Cousins gets healthy.
And the fans are everywhere. That's a nice move by Antonius Cleveland right there. They like his intensity. They like the defense he brings at the wing position. He, too, is 6'6". Everybody seems to be 6'6" or higher, Mark.
Hey, you mentioned Al-Farouq Aminu, Portland.
I love that.
Wing defense.
Correct.
He is a real underrated stopper, and interestingly enough, he has a brother that plays at the University of North Florida. Wahid, who's doing a great job for head coach Matt Driscoll down there in Jacksonville, Florida. 3 on the shot clock. And Papagiannis with the rebound. Yorgos Papagiannis, 13th pick of the draft back in 2016. Never quite found his way or niche in Sacramento. Blocking a foul on Johnson. Simons, we've seen Simons look very explosive and dynamic out of Almonte Springs, Florida. Was at IGM Academy, didn't play collegiate basketball, going to go to the free throw line. Made his first start of Summer League Tuesday against the Spurs. Had 8 points in that ball game. A little bit outside the box when you think about somebody that didn't play any collegiate basketball and spending a year basically training, working out down at IMG, a great facility down there in Bradenton, Florida. Spent a 5th year at IMG Academy to prep for the NBA instead of going to school. His parents were huge Orlando Magic fans, and that's why he has that first name, Anthony. And you can call Spellman anything right now, especially spectacular. Spellman out of Villanova with 14. Portland leads by 4. They are 3-0 in Summer League action. Caleb Swanigan was an 8th grader going into the 9th grade. Weighed almost 400 pounds and run. That's pretty heavy. Spellman getting it to go.
Championship pedigree, 6'9", frame 253, but moves his feet, runs the floor. He has been spectacular. How about this punch? My goodness. And then in transition, he says, I'm going to sprint the floor, see if I can't get myself an easy couple.
The WNBA is in full swing, folks. Don't miss a minute of the action. Catch it live by getting your tickets today at WNBA.com/tickets. And the Las Vegas Aces trying to mount a charge right now in 9th place. The top 8 make the playoffs. We had Asia Wilson of the Aces join us a few days ago and had a chance to chop it up with her. They're 9-12 overall. 6 games out of first place and a game and a half out of the last playoff spot. Asia, if you're out there, I'm still waiting on my tickets. 1-point ball game. Atlanta with a chance to take the lead. Portland has led for most of this contest. Wade Baldwin coming up short. Baldwin not a guy that lacks for confidence. Cleveland weaving his way inside and turns it over to Layman. And he's going to walk with it. Well, Damian Lillard had something to say about how hard and how good the play is in the WNBA recently.
It was exciting, man. It was a great game. I mean, they was out there hooping, like, you know, just like NBA players do. The same passion, the same pace, the same grit, you know. So, you know, they professionals, man, and it's awesome to be able to see those women out there competing the way they do. They deserve a lot more respect, you know, and they deserve to make a lot more money than they do. And I think it's time people to start recognizing that they're professional athletes and they should be treated like it, and their league should be elevated and treated that way as well.
And the Church of Basketball said, Amen.
Amen.
Atlanta Hawks with possession and a chance to take the lead here. Tournament play away in earnest here in Las Vegas. Portland leading by 1, 39-38. Mark Jones alongside Doris Burke and Cassidy Hubbard here at the Thomas & Mack Center. Second game of our doubleheader. First one saw the Los Angeles Lakers defeat the Los Angeles Clippers. Here's Simons out of IMG Academy, getting downhill. Showed good bounce and finish ability.
He showed bounce, finish ability, and pace, right? He dictated the outcome of that thing.
Baldwin. Layman got all the way to the paint and rammed it home. Jake Layman with 12 points to go along with 4 rebounds. Spellman on the block. Corner 3 is good by Atlanta's Junior Robinson.
He gets it off quick, Mark. He put it up soft from the same spot the possession before.
Northeast Conference Player of the Year at Mount St. Mary's.
That's going to be the problem, though. Baldwin went right at Robinson and bullied his way to the bucket.
One thing I can tell you about Wade Baldwin, known him for several years now when he played back at Vanderbilt. Extremely confident, plays with that kind of edge that you really admire if you're a head coach. He's the son of an FBI and a DEA agent, mom and dad, okay? So he knows all about authority and respects authority and likes to be the authority at time. In fact, at 16 years old, he once challenged
Next pass by
Baldwin with the dime. At 16 years old, Baldwin challenged several veteran FBI agents in one of those obstacle course races, about 5 of them, ended up beating a handful of them at 16. So he's a guy that really believes in himself. You can't tell him that he can't do anything. 7 points, 3 boards, and 5 assists for Baldwin. Slanigan with the block. And that's going to be a shot clock violation. And Baldwin with a nice pass here.
There's the bounce you were talking about with Layman, too. I think our producer, Ian Gruca, likes that.
As for Baldwin, mom is an FBI agent, dad with the DEA. You got to play it straight.
Boxing legend Manny Pacquiao is back. The sport's history-making 8th Division World Champion returns to the ring, and it's only on ESPN+. Power-punching belt holder Lucas Matisse is the target. As Pac-Man goes for his 60th career win, it's Manny Pacquiao's return, live from Malaysia on ESPN+, part of your ESPN app, Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
That available on ESPN+, the app. You get a lot of extra video and games and events on that. 2 seconds to go. And that's going to be the end of the first half of play. The undefeated Portland Trailblazers behind Wade Baldwin with the 7-point lead at the break. Fran Fraschilla going to be joined by our Cassidy Hubbarth up above our perch at Thomas and Mack on the other side of this. Welcome back, everyone, to the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League. On day 7, tournament play has begun in earnest. It's day 2 of tournament play. The Atlanta Hawks trailing the Portland Trailblazers right now, 48-41. But things looking up for the Atlanta Hawks when you consider Spellman doing a great job in that first half. Had his best summer league game in the previous contest with 13 points. Shot 50% from the field, outdoing himself here tonight, Doris.
Championship pedigree. Villanova all over Las Vegas right now. Gets things started with a 3. He shot 42% as a redshirt freshman at Villanova. Put it on the deck and attack. And Jake Layman talked about it himself. You mentioned it, Mark. He's a tremendous athlete. But this was his mantra, right? I need to shoot it more consistently. He was 6 for 8. He couldn't have been more efficient. Well, I guess he could have if he made 2 more shots.
That's asking a lot, Doris.
Can I give him an A?
What grade would you give him?
Well, I'm feeling bad because you said I'm a tough grader.
You don't throw out A's all that frequently. Jenkins almost had the steal. Baldwin hustling back to contest the shot by Johnson, but Johnson made it anyway. Robert Johnson out of Richmond, undrafted as a rookie this past year in the draft. Baldwin got it back from another Vandy former guard and missed everything. Out of bounds, it'll be White basketball, Portland basketball. Wade Baldwin, the 4th, started all 3 games in Vegas so far. Came in averaging 14 points per on 56% from the field.
I love the story about his parents.
Yeah. That is some kind of authority in the house. Native of Belmead, New Jersey. You're a Jersey girl. Where exactly is that?
I don't know.
You don't?
I've been
on the shore?
Been a long time since I lived there. But I do consider listen, he's a tough Jersey kid. That's the one thing I'd say about Jersey kids.
Former 17th pick overall, Spellman with a nice show and go and dime inside.
Wow, nice.
Boy, Spellman showing the whole package here. Doris Burke, the former conference freshman of the year. Started 39 of 40 games last year at Villanova. He's got 17 in the game to go along with 3 dimes and 5 boards. Spellman is the 30th pick of the first round, last pick of the first round, and Caleb Swanigan, who's been a little bit conspicuous by his silence in this game. Nice little jump hook by the big man out of Purdue. That's his first field goal, first 2 points. Talk about guys that have really overcome adversity in their life. Well defended by Swanigan. He actually attended 4 different middle schools growing up, 9 different elementary schools at a very unstable home situation, and then got the right people in his life and mentorship, and was able to go from 360 pounds his 8th grade year going into high school, and basketball became a way for him to make something out of life. And he seized the opportunity. Jumper by Johnson is pure.
He's ready on the catch.
Johnson out of Indiana. Shot 39% from downtown there as Collins missed that one. It's got to be difficult, Doris, with the mask on.
No doubt.
Didn't affect his ability to defend there, though. Collins comes up with a block. He does look a little bigger through the shoulders than he did last year this time.
No doubt, Mark. And this is what Neil O'Shea was talking about, that instinct. Obviously, he's complete mismatch there. He's a little frustrated because he's a better shooter. That one missed badly, and I think that has everything to do with the mask.
Talk about guys that had a meteoric rise last year during the NCAA tournament. Not many people were talking about him as a first-round pick or maybe even an NBA pick at all. And then second half of the season, his collegiate arc really was steep, and he took off. Portland leading by 3. Here's the hot hand, Johnson. They go inside to Jock Landale, an Australian. One of those guys that played at St. Mary's for Coach Randy Bennett. He's had a plethora of guys come through there from down under. Good hustle by Johnson to knock it out of bounds. Who was it? The Dallas Mavericks, we saw, had a couple of Australians on their summer league team. Recently signed Ryan Brokoff, who had played overseas in the EuroLeague last year. Brokoff played his collegiate basketball at Valparaiso. Layman with the pull-up. And rebounded by Landale. Cleveland thought about it, then fires. There's Swanigan. Layman in rhythm this time. Got it.
Man, he can flat shoot it, Mark.
17 points for Jake Layman.
It's a pretty shot.
Good block by Wade Baldwin. Good defense.
Yeah, Jake Layman just getting to your spots. If you're sprinting in transition, your head should be up because you've got to be spotting that shooter. Consistency is what he's looking for. Consistency is what he's giving you.
Blazers with a 6-point advantage with 5:46 to go here in tournament play. Mark Jones, Doris Burke joined at the table now by Travis Schlenk, the general manager of the Atlanta Hawks. We saw your top draft pick there, Trae Young, and actually it was a trade, but tell us your impressions of how you feel he's progressed so far from game 1 in Utah to his last one last night in the second half where he was spectacular.
Yeah, no, we're very pleased with the progress he's made just in a short period of time. You know, and I think he's even said it publicly. You know, these guys that go at the top of the draft, once their college season's over, there's no more playing 5-on-5, getting up and down the court. It's all individual workouts, 1-on-0. So, you know, going to Utah, I think was a good warm-up for coming to Vegas to get, 3 games in, going up and down, competitive. So we're pleased, obviously.
Little known, but 8 months ago to the day he played his first college game. He bursts onto the scene. He has a lot of ups and downs, and he's going to have to navigate that. What's impressed you about the young man handling what's been thrown at him in that 8-month journey?
Yeah, well, you guys had obviously the chance to talk with him a little bit ago on the first half. He's a very confident kid.
Yeah.
He's got a strong will. And I think what happened last year at Oklahoma, not that he was unheralded, he was a McDonald's All-American, but no one really had him pegged as a one and done. He wasn't at the top of any mock drafts. Blew up at the start of the season. The team did extremely well, and then there was so much pressure on him, and then the team started, not being as successful. And he handled all that, and we talked about that through the draft process. And there's going to be a bright light on him because of the draft day trade. But we have a lot of confidence in the young man.
How do you see that backcourt in Atlanta? You've got Dennis Schroeder, Trae Young. How do those things fit? How do you predict your backcourt when you look at Trae Young? How does he fix in that mix?
When you look at the league today, you have to have guys out there, basketball players, right? Dennis obviously is a great penetrator, very quick, can get in the lane. Trae can do the same thing. So, we envision those guys being able to play together at times. Okay. We envision them obviously being able to divide them up and have them run the show themselves.
Lloyd Pierce gets his first opportunity, of course, last year, an assistant with Brett Brown. What appealed to you about Lloyd, and what kind of style do you see him employing?
Yeah, Lloyd and I actually worked together 10 years ago in Golden State for a year, so I've known him for a long time. He's a great human being to start with. Extremely positive, connects very well with players. What they went through the last 5 years Lloyd was in Philadelphia, I think really gives him a unique perspective on what we're doing. We're building this thing through the draft. We had the 3 first-round draft picks this year. We have the potential to have the 3 first-round draft picks next year. And this year we drafted 2 19-year-olds and 20-year-old. Last year we drafted John Collins, who was 19. So there's a high probability next year that we're going to add 3 more 19-year-olds.
Right.
So, we need a guy that can connect with these guys on and off the court, and Lloyd fits that bill.
It wasn't that long ago, Travis, it seems, that the Atlanta Hawks were 60-22, and you guys were in the playoffs, won the East. We'll ask you to stick around a little bit and answer some of these questions that we've got for her. We're going to work you a little bit.
No problem.
Stick around, folks. General Manager Travis Schlenk and the rest of the Atlanta Hawks front office drafting Young, Huerter, and Spellman. Travis is still with us. Huerter, quickly, he's still recovering from surgery?
Yeah, he had a tendon in his pinky finger on his shooting hand that he actually hurt during the season, played with all year long. Going through the pre-draft process, decided to get that fixed when he felt like he had earned the first-round guarantee from a team. But he should be back at contact in the next couple weeks.
Let's talk about the guy that just drained that nice-looking jump shot from the top of the lane. Spellman has really impressed here tonight.
Yeah, Amari's a guy, obviously playing at Villanova, plays with a lot of fire, a lot of passion, can stretch the floor as we just saw. And defensively, you watch Villanova play, they switch a lot. So he was on the perimeter all the time.
Wow. Offensively, did you know he had this kind of game as well?
Yeah, no, that's what he did at Villanova. He stretched the floor offensively.
42% from three-point as a redshirt freshman.
Yep.
I want to go back to Huerter, but just because I saw a little bit of him at Maryland, he said he likes Klay Thompson, Gordon Hayward, and Bradley Beal, because I know his reputation as shooter, but he considers himself more. How would you describe him?
No, I would agree with that completely. One of the things that I really like about him, well, there are a couple things. He can put the ball on the floor and make plays for himself and for others. And, in today's league, we're trying to get as many guys that can do that as possible. And the other thing that I think he does a really good job of that really is a lost art, he reads screens very well. He's able to tell when he should curl, when he should run to daylight or to the perimeter, when he should flare if a guy cheats at the middle. It's really, when you watch kids today, that's kind of a lost art. He's extremely good at that.
It's a lost art in 2 ways, Travis. The screener's got to understand the angle and sometimes turn it at the last second, and then that's good to know he's thinking the game as well. So
and then
that's
you got
interesting.
A guy like Trae who can read that as well as a point guard spotter, which we saw last night with his ability to make plays. So we're excited about the combination.
Travis, you guys were 24-58 last year, but LeBron James has left the Eastern Conference and a member of the Los Angeles Lakers now. There's a perception that there's opportunity for everybody across the board. What kind of expectations does this organization, the Atlanta Hawks, have for next season?
Well, I mean, we're going to be a young team, as I mentioned. You know, we added 3 19-year-olds and a 20-year-old. John Collins is just going to be 21 this fall.
Have you shut him down for summer league? Is he done?
Yeah, John's done for the summer league. But we're going to let those guys grow. And, you know, with young guys, it's a process. So what we're going to be looking for next year is just individual growth and then also collective growth of our team.
Collins provided some great highlights here in summer league. And is he close to taking that next step in terms of expanding his game offensively?
Yeah, you know, what we saw last year from John, you know, he basically played a lot of 5 for us and was a roller. Just his ability, he's got a really soft touch inside, obviously extremely bouncy off the floor. So you saw a lot of finishes. But then towards the end of the season, what we saw is him starting to shoot corner threes. And I think he ended up 33, 34% from 3 on the year. And now in Summer League, what we're starting to see is him picking and popping and starting to shoot threes from beyond the break. So he's extending his range, and he's got a really good touch, good rotation on the ball. So we feel like he's got a good chance to be, you know, the stretch 4, but still have the ability to stretch the 4 vertically going to the rim.
You know, you were talking earlier about the number of picks you could have next year. I think obviously part of that comes with the Trae Young selection. You pick up a pick. Yep. I know it's never too early. What is the expectation for what next year's draft is going to be like, a general sense?
Yeah, I think obviously with this draft, what we saw is a lot of big guys go up top, right?
Right,
There's a lot of centers. Next year, you project out and looking at it, it's a lot more wing players. You know, a lot more of your 6'7", 6'8" guys that play on the perimeter, handle the ball. So, you know, obviously we'll see how the college season goes. There'll always be another Trae, a guy that comes out of nowhere that goes up to the top. But that's kind of what it looks like right now.
Travis, thanks a lot for joining us, and good luck moving forward.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, we very much appreciate it, Travis. Thank you.
Travis Schlenk, the general manager of the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta trying to move on here, playing their 5th game of Summer League action, and right now trailing by 10 against the Portland Trailblazers. The winner moves on. The loser will play one more consolation round game. Archie Goodwin missing that spin shot underneath.
I've lost touch with college basketball. I wanted to know what was coming because they're going to have, as he says, several picks.
Interesting. And Doris, you know, I'm curious to see how a potential Trae Young, Dennis Schroeder backcourt looks, as Gary Trent Jr. calmly knocks down the 3.
You know,
Schlenk didn't seem to think it was a problem with their size.
Well, because I think you can look at certain teams, like the same question I just asked Neil O'Shea, which was, you confidently drafted Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum, both somewhat considered undersized guards, but so skilled that...
Right. Offsets any kind of size concerns. Baldwin, nice hit ahead to Goodwin. And Archie Goodwin out of Kentucky bangs it home. 15-point lead, under a minute to go here in the 3rd quarter. The winner of this game moves on. Portland Trailblazers undefeated right now. Portland lost last year to the Lakers in championship round play. Lakers went on to win the Summer League title. Archie Goodwin brings it up court for Portland. About a 3-second difference between the shot clock and game clock. Goodwin with the mismatch on Spellman. Spellman moved his feet well. Layman, little floater on the baseline. 2 seconds to go. It'll count. Got it! Trent on target. Gary Trent Jr., one of the top 3-point shooters out of the ACC. His dad played for the Blazers as well. Gary Sr., Jr., stunting like his daddy right there. Gary Trent Jr. a minute ago hitting the 3 ball for the Blazers, making it 73-57. Showed you why he's one of the top 3-point shooters coming out of this draft class. And interestingly enough, last night I had a chance to chop it up with his dad, Gary Trent Sr. Get this, Doris Burke. Senior told me, as Goodwin goes up for the lob, Senior told me that he found it really quirky that his son is playing against Carmelo and LeBron who are on their way out. He played against those guys when they were on their way into the league.
That's really cool, actually. And it's so interesting to me that LeBron said to us in the offseason during the finals, that he thought he wanted to play about 5-6 more years.
Wow.
And the idea that perhaps young Bronny and he could be in the league at the same time.
Yeah.
And that might be his greatest achievement if, in fact, that were to happen.
You know that he's real serious about his parenting duties and being a great father, as he's proven to be. I'll tell you what, I saw Trent Jr.'s dad, senior, last night. He looked good. He looked good.
Looks like he's still playing?
Yeah, oh, definitely. Definitely. Still has that powerful frame and in very good shape. Nice looking drive, but no finish by Morris. Gary Trent Jr. lasting to the second round, 37th pick. General Manager Neil Olshey talked about how, guys are buying to getting into the second round to get the guy they want. And it's tough because I don't think you get the certain amount of claim to them or equity in them when their contracts come due, like he was saying.
Correct, yeah.
The whole bird rights thing.
I thought that was interesting, Mark.
You develop a guy for a couple of years, then you could lose him. Trent Jr. with the board. Hopping to the bucket, and that's going to be one hop too many. Well, the Las Vegas Summer Tournament continues tomorrow in Las Vegas on ESPNU and the ESPN app. Brooklyn, Indiana, Washington, Dallas, Minnesota, Denver, and Sacramento, Golden State. Speaking of second-round picks, Kostas Antetokounmpo, Greek Freak's brother, younger brother, was the last pick of the second round. Another guy who was the last pick of the second round said whoever gets drafted last tonight, he said this on draft night, said hit me up, text me, I'll give you the secret formula. That's what Isaiah Thomas texted. He was the last pick of the second round several years ago. And wouldn't you know that Kostas actually did hit him up and trying to, pick his brain a little bit.
Well, he has the
How
formula.
to make it. Yeah, certainly does. He made it.
That's a top 5 finisher in the MVP a couple of years ago, right?
Sure was. And Isaiah Thomas, up until recently, looking for a team, and Cassidy has more.
Yeah, I'm here with our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, and you just broke some news regarding Isaiah Thomas. What more can you tell us?
1 year, $2 million deal with the Denver Nuggets. He'll be the backup point guard. Mike Malone, the Nuggets coach, coached him in Sacramento. They've talked this week. Tim Connolly, their vice president of basketball operations, met with Isaiah along with Malone, and then they've been talking, texting. He needs an opportunity to show he can get healthy again and maybe get back out on the free agent market next year. But this is a tremendous opportunity with a team that expects to be in the playoffs this year. I texted with Isaiah tonight. He's excited for the chance to play for Malone again and play for a team that's a playoff contender in the West.
You have been non-stop for, really all season. What is Summer League like for you, Woj?
A great place to see everybody in one place, players, coaches, executives, agents. It's really the only place all year where everybody's in one place. So for me, it makes it, it's a great week.
Lastly, who are some of the other big names that we're still waiting on to hear news about?
Well, Jabari Parker, restricted free agent. Milwaukee's got a decision to make tomorrow about whether they want to keep him as a restricted free agent. They could withdraw his qualifying offer. He could become unrestricted. They haven't made a decision on that yet, but there's still a lot of interest out there in Parker. Still a young player, number 2 overall pick. Where he ends up, that'll be an interesting process.
Guy's the best in the business, and make sure you're keeping track of his Twitter feed.
He's lapping people, Cassidy. He's absolutely lapping people.
Hey, what about Isaiah Thomas? It has been a rather indecorous last couple of years for him when you consider the fact that he, in his own words, was ready to back up the Brinks truck as a member of the Boston Celtics and suffered that hip injury, subsequently traded to Cleveland, subsequently traded to Los Angeles, hits free agency, when at one point he was looking for a much larger and significant payday, a one-year, $2 million deal.
Well, let's be real. They liked what he brought in Los Angeles, okay? So now he's got a second opportunity again. You know anything about Isaiah Thomas?
Yep.
Here are his numbers from last season. 26, almost 27 minutes, 15 points. Obviously, he'd tell you he wants to get the efficiency up in both the 2- and 3-point field goals. But I think that can happen, Mark. He's competitive, he's tough, he's unafraid in big moments. And I just want to see him healthy, because that run he had in Boston, he was one of the most electric players in the playoffs.
I wouldn't bet against him.
Nope.
This conversation began with him being the 60th pick, the last pick of the second round. So he's climbed a lot of mountains before and succeeded. And you know, people talk about royalty in sports. 82-59 now, Portland leading. People always fans seem to side with management and teams. But consider Isaiah Thomas played less than 24 hours after the death of his sister, put it on the line for the Celtics, and still traded.
Correct. And I like that LeBron James has been at the forefront of players taking control of their own destiny. They've earned the right to take control of their own destiny.
It's a business, but it goes both ways.
That's exactly right.
Under 6 minutes to go. Simons draws the foul. Time out of the floor. Blazers in control.
Mark, since I'm down to my final 551 of this summer league, I wanted to give a shout out to some coaches who've helped me as I've worked in the NBA. The legend Hubie Brown, Doug Collins, who left us to go back to the competitive environment of the Chicago Bulls. Mark Jackson, of course, rejoined us after his time in Golden State and the notorious JVG. These men, Hubie has affected more generation of basketball people than anybody living today. He's a legend, he's tough as nails, and I adore him. He's the best storyteller in history. Coach Collins and I used to talk a lot when I was covering college basketball because Chris Collins was at Duke. And Mark and Jeff have just been so patient and let me pepper them with questions for things I haven't understood. So that was supposed to air during Coach's Appreciation Day, but I made our producer air it tonight anyway. So my many thanks to those men.
So that's a who's who, and it's been a fun time here with you, Doris, as you head home tomorrow and leave me all by myself out here.
I think you've got some good basketball in your future, though. I'll be watching from my couch.
Yeah. Like Hubie Brown is probably right now. I want to give a shout out to Hubie. He never misses a game. He's recovering from knee surgery, going through that arduous rehab and getting ready for next season. And
do you know he's the only person who I was ever starstruck with? Honest to God truth. Wow. I am Rick Pitino's nanny. He's transitioning from an assistant coaching job with the Knicks up to the Providence College Friars. And I'm at Rick Pitino's house. And Hubie Brown calls. Rick's out of town. He's picking Joanne up with his wife. And they're going to go to a barbecue. And he said, Hubie Brown, I couldn't speak.
You got tongue-tied.
I got so tongue-tied.
Hey, this is your first summer league, Doris. So what are your impressions of what happens out here in Vegas in the middle of July? It's a lot of fun, isn't it?
I've absolutely loved it. I've stayed in the gym and stayed out of trouble, which is huge. But I'll tell you, watching these young picks in their first run in what is, you know, a dry run to their NBA training camp upcoming in, when does it start? Late September?
Late September. Mid-September now. Yeah.
Really cool, Mark.
Yeah, by January, Doris, you and I will be calling games and we'll be saying, wow, remember that 3 for 16 Trae Young had? And man, he's averaging, you know, maybe 15, maybe 18, maybe 25. It's always nice to be able to say that you were there in July when they first started, and to watch the career arc of the several many talented players here in Las Vegas. Spellman having a good night here for the Hawks. Not so much on that one. He's got 20 points, 5 boards, and 3 assists. Got back and made the Blazers change their shot. Nice pass by Trent Jr. Simons with the hammer. Okay, so maybe too little too late, though, for the Hawks. Trailing by 26 points. So Woj dropping that Woj bomb a moment ago. Isaiah Thomas going to be in the Western Conference once again with the Denver Nuggets. We spoke to Coach Malone just last night, interestingly enough, in their game across the way at Cox Pavilion.
He didn't give up anything, did he?
No, said it with a straight face.
Well, we talked a little bit about what happens at Summer League. So since we're with Portland, how about young Dame Lillard with that 0 on his chest? A little show and go and one. He got a couple of those, and he has done it. He's made big shot after big shot. In that particular instance, at Summer League, icing the game. We've seen him do that a time or two.
He's made a bunch of big ones, especially that one in the playoffs several years ago against the Houston Rockets, which eliminated them from the playoffs. You know, I remember Dame Lillard telling me about being hurt between his, I think it was sophomore, junior, senior year. I think it was junior, sophomore. And he got video from coach's office and watched every single pick and roll play that he ran the previous season, made notes, and then got into the lab, got in the gym, and started work on how to improving his pick and roll game. And it shows right now, George.
Oh my God, he's a master manipulator in the pick and roll. You kidding me? With that range, quick shooting ability.
Brandon Sampson. Tell you, Dame Lillard, if you don't already know, spits a little fire too. He, one of the NBA's top musicians. He's got some bars. If you're on social media, you know that he has that, I think it's called 4-Bar Friday, where you can write some lyrics and he'll look at them and review them.
You know what I like about him and what he tries to do with his music is he's talking about issues that are pertinent to society. I think that's that's pretty cool.
Whistle and a foul on Papagiannis. Georgios Papagiannis from Greece. It's all Greek to me right now. Portland in control, folks. (90-66). Portland in control. A little under 2.5 minutes to go on day 2 of tournament play. Mark Jones chopping it up with Doris Burke for the last time here. Summer League as Doris heads home. Cassidy Hubbarth also courtside.
You see the news breaking it on the bottom there. The ticker, Adrian Wojnarowski. How about Kyle Kuzma? Right away sees the news that says, appreciate my bro at Isaiah Thomas. Learned a lot in a short period of time. Can't wait till you switch on me in the post this year.
So the good vibe lasted like 2 sentences, right?
That's great.
It's all good between those guys. Jake Layman leading the way with 20 points on 8 of 13 from the field. And more importantly, 4 of 5 from deep for Portland. Papagiannis underneath, and that's going to be an offensive foul, leading with the elbow.
He's thinking about saying something to the official. And then just keeps looking. He's glancing over still as we come up the court. Mr. Papagiannis, you did the right thing. Let it go.
Yeah. It's late.
Oh,
only he fouled right there. See?
Oh, now see?
That's the payback. Whistle and a foul, and Smith knocks down the free throw. I thought I recognized number 50 under there, under the hoop. Gedimidas Petraitis. A regular season NBA official. Papagiannis from the elbow, no good. So Portland going to move on. Atlanta will have one more game before they call it a tournament. Portland undefeated so far in Summer League play. Casper Ware with the pick and a great pass to Goodwin. Oh, but a better block at the other end by Kaba.
That is nice. You're right. The pass was perfect. He had to lead him the whole way. He's able to corral it, but Kaba says, sir, not tonight.
Bubba also participated in the 2017 Summer League last year with the Atlanta Hawks. 5 points, 4 rebounds. Another one of those talented players out of France. KJ McDaniels with the straightaway jumper. Here's Robinson against Ware. Five on the shot clock. Johnson had it blocked. Good Daniel. Good defense by McDaniels. Goodwin thought he was all alone, but missed the follow. KJ doing what McDaniels usually does.
Well, that's just beautiful end-to-end play by him, right? He gets the block on one end, doesn't take for granted that Goodwin's going to put it down.
Got 10 points and 4 boards in this. Make that 5 rebounds for KJ McDaniels, formerly the Houston Rockets, Philadelphia 76ers, out of Clemson. This one is pretty much cooked, glazed, and ready to be sliced. Chance that the Blazers might get back to that championship game here in the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League. They're going to win this one. 7-second difference between the shot clock and game clock. Goodwin a little upset, but as you would expect, no whistle. And this one's done. The number 2 seed Portland goes on to win it 95-69. Herder watching while he heals, and there's a look at the bracket now. Portland will move on and take on the Miami Heat in their next game. NBA Summer League continues tomorrow on ESPNU. Brooklyn, Indiana at 4. Washington, Dallas, Minnesota, Denver, Sacramento, Golden State at 10. All games streaming live on the ESPN app. And breaking news, Jeremy Lin is now a member of the Atlanta Hawks. So Jeremy Lin, formerly of the Brooklyn Nets, joining Trae Young and Dennis Schroeder in the backcourt for Atlanta. For the here now, the Blazers win it 95-69. SportsCenter coming up next. Our Summer League coverage continues tomorrow on ESPNU and NBA TV. Doris Burke is out of here. Cassidy Hubbarth, she's sticking around with me. Thanks for watching. Good night, everybody, from Las Vegas.